It should be sunny today with a high near 88 degrees. Tonight we'll see mostly clear skies and a low right around 60. Tomorrow skies should be sunny and the high near 89. Tomorrow night it'll be partly cloudy with a low of 61. Then on Thursday, we see a 70% chance of rain. It'll be mostly cloudy, and the high should be 74.
This is the award-winning broadcast of Healthy University, bringing health and vitality to you and your family, brought to you by Scotland County Hospital in Memphis. Now, here's your host, Dr. Randy Tobler.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without crying. Now I want to understand. I have done.
Hey, we're back. It's Tuesday again, and we're thankful that you're here because we're glad to be here.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Randy Tobler, along with Bud and Elisa, and a special mystery guest to be introduced in just a moment. We are Healthy University. What was that?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it belongs to me.
Wow. Wow. Is that Tinkerbell?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what it was.
All right. And we are going to be talking about things pertaining to the hospital and your best utilization of the hospital, because we want to make sure that that things occur just perfectly every time. And so we're going to introduce Rhonda Miller, who is the supervisor of the Memphis Medical Services, and make sure that everyone is on the same page in terms of getting the best out of your visit, and before your visit and after your visit.
Get the best bang for your buck.
That's right. When we, when you interact with the clinic, because we want it to be smooth as silk, flowing as honey, sweet as cream,
sugar.
Oh,
sugar.
Sweet as
she
sugar.
is. Hi, Elisa.
Good morning, Buddy Wilson.
What's going on at the hospital?
Well,
Let's get out some important news concerning the
things.
flu season and avoiding the flu.
Yeah, we have a flu shot clinic that's open to the public 9 years and older. Please bring your Medicare card with you. There's no appointment necessary, and there's no out-of-pocket expenses for this flu shot clinic at the hospital on Wednesday, September 19th from 8 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, and it'll be located in the Scotland County Hospital Library. And so we encourage everyone to use the parking lot B over there with the Memphis Medical Services, and we'll have that all ready for you that morning. So you can just slide right in there, jump out, run in the door, get your shot, and be gone doing something else.
Smooth as silk, sweet as honey, flowing as cream.
Absolutely. And then the other thing I wanted to tell people about is Old Settlers Day on Saturday, September 22nd. The hospital will have a booth there. Come on over, visit with us, get some free information and some free gifts out there. And Scotland County Hospital's annual book fair for Christmas shopping. Oh, ho! Ooh. Dare I say it? I've already done it.
Ooh, that's always a big event. When is that?
Yeah, that will be in October, and it'll be located at the new conference and library room over on that side. So you watch for that announcement on that. We'll have more information about it, but it will be in October. The open house for Scotland County Hospital. We want you to reserve this date, please, for open house on Tuesday, October 30th, 2012, day before Halloween, in celebration of the completion of the Scotland County Hospital expansion and the renovation project, all ready to go, we hope, by October 30th. The board of directors, the administration, and the staff, we all want to invite you to this open house. It's on Tuesday, October 30th. It's from 3 in the afternoon to 7, and there's a particular reason for doing that, is so that if you work through the day, you still have an opportunity to be able to come out that evening and take a tour of the hospital. There'll be remarks by hospital officials right at 5 o'clock, and that'll be over in the new library building. And we'll give you an opportunity to have refreshments, take a tour, and there'll be a free gift for all attendees. You'll be able to see the new emergency department. We'll show you the new surgery center. We'll take you through the new medical surgical unit, the new library conference center, and a lot of other newly renovated areas like radiology and all those that you'll get to see all that firsthand. And here's what it does for you folks. It gives you a chance to walk through the hospital with no more cancellations of doors and hallways. Everything will be open, but it'll give you the opportunity to see how to get from point A to point B.
Can you slip into a CT scanner and just push the button?
Slide right in. Yeah.
Sort of like a little display at the Science Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, we're just kidding. We're kidding. It's not going to happen.
Of course we're kidding. There'll be refreshments there, and there's a free gift for everyone who attends. So I just
What's the
wanted to
gift? Come on. Pretty please, tell me.
I could
No?
tell you, but if I
Surprise?
told you, then I'd have to shoot you, and
Dick-
we don't want to do that. So,
Dick Tracy ring? Decoder ring? No?
ooh, that'd be worth some money.
Heathkit radio? Boy, am I dating myself.
Let me give.
Build it yourself ultrasound machine?
Yeah, absolutely. One of those real fiery jobs where the sparks actually come out the side while you're doing it. I saw this thing, Doctor, about young men who had smoked marijuana recreationally, who are twice as likely to be diagnosed with testicular cancer than men who have never used
Yep.
marijuana. It's a U.S. study, but the thing that really caught my attention on this is that this is the third study which all three of them consistently demonstrated almost a doubling of the risk of this particular undesirable subtype of testicular cancer in young men.
Yeah, I mean, testicular cancer is a bad news thing anyway, but the most common form is actually fairly curable, but this is not that. And once again, another indictment on marijuana smoking in young people. I will not get on a soapbox today again, because Elisa said, please don't do that.
Oh,
But,
did
I
she?
did?
She
I
did
said
not.
none.
No, I know, I'm kidding. Well, you looked at me that way, so I know.
When
I can read body language. No, but the point is that, and it may not be the active substance, the psychoactive substance, tetrahydrocannabinol, that's in marijuana. Probably it's because these things are grown wherever they're grown, and they're processed however they're processed, and there's all kinds of additives and toxins and gosh knows what else that's in there. And so you start putting that in your lungs and into your bloodstream, and eventually into
And this is a particular type of tumor. It's a non-seminoma tumor.
Right.
And,
seminoma being the most
the-
common.
I just, what's impressive to me is when you find something, and this doesn't happen very often, where you have had three different studies at three different times by three different groups, and all three of them demonstrate the same thing, consistently.
And so when you do something that's self-harmful, that hasn't worked out and is clearly bad, and you do it over and over and over again, what do you call that?
Stupidity, insanity,
Yeah.
one of those
when
three.
you repeat something that clearly is, not worked out before. So at any rate, another admonition to be careful. Speaking of sin,
Yes.
how do you feel about sin taxes? Study out of University of Alberta, from Nola Rees of the Faculty of Law's Health Law and Science Policy Group. Now, that's in Canada, where
Right.
everyone pretty much covered by at least some level of government insurance. And, of course, there is the two-tier system where if you want a little more red carpet care, you pay for it.
Have
Yeah. You can, how do they call that? Move up to the.
Yeah. But on our recent vacation, I talked with a guy who he and his brother own a radio station in Toronto, and we got talking. I said, so what's the skinny on this Canadian healthcare system? Give me the real poop. I want to know the truth. He said, it's great if you have a sniffle or a UTI or a back thing and you need a little Doan's pills or a little this or that. If you need something big, he said, that's why all the big United States operations are just south of the border, because people go over on weekends and get their.
Really?
And he said it's really true, because they ration their acute care, their high level care, their semi-elective things like knee surgeries and bypass and stuff. But at any rate, so this is in a country where the government pretty much pays for most of the health care, and thereby they are beginning to generate sin taxes. Well, we do that on tobacco, right?
Sure.
And allegedly that money then goes to help defray some of the excess
Theoretically,
costs.
that's where it's supposed
Theoretically, yeah. And Canada has imposed its tax on various sugary, sorry, Elisa, and starchy snacks.
Ugh.
No tax is charged on basic groceries such as meals, vegetables, and fruits. Meats, vegetables, and fruits. And this researcher points to other countries such as France and Romania, beacons of freedom, where where
Go with it.
shining prisons on the hill, where the tax rate is much higher. She says taxing products such as sugar-sweetened beverages would likely not only reduce consumption and curb some weight gain, but provide a revenue stream.
Right.
Now, she also says, on the other hand, though, that incenting people
Yes.
to do the right thing seems to work. And I'm thinking this in terms of a report today I saw, and I actually heard the audio. I don't have it available for you, but Michelle Obama has made a little piece that is being broadcast, I guess, in schools and played to roll out a lot of the new, healthier, and she claims tastier things, and whatever. They've got some black-eyed peas and this and that, and okra. Broccoli and this and that. And it's good for the First Lady to be leading the charge for healthy eating.
Foods.
And I'm all for that. I'm all for education. I'm all for leadership. I'm all for inspirational messaging. I'm all for trying to, like we try to do here, which is educate and encourage. But what do you feel about sin taxes? I mean, do you think in the end, if the government, if we the people have some responsibility for your health care, do we have then an obligation to demand certain behavior?
Well, to me,
And if you don't do the behavior, you pay for it.
to me, it's a forcing of what ought to be coming from inside in the heart, and a real change. Like for instance, quitting smoking, the decision inside of each individual to finally make that move. Okay, this is it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And be and have that in their heart and in their mind. That's the way they're going to quit.
Right.
That's the way they're going to lose weight.
Right.
That's the way they're going to get the colonoscopy.
But as the taxes go up on cigarettes, and what is it now for a pack of cigarettes? 5?
I don't know.
4 or 5? I mean, it's really expensive.
It's got to be.
I have had people tell me, some of them nurses who smoke, and it's a tough habit to break. I mean,
Right. Yes,
and they
is.
tell me, boy, when I calculate how much that costs me, it's giving me pause. I'm cutting back. They may not be quitting, but they're cutting back.
Yeah. So
they
maybe-
do work. I mean, sin taxes do work to some
Yeah,
degree.
they work. They work.
It's
to
an
some
interesting
degree.
question. I mean, I'm not making an editorial here. It's a question I raise.
Well-
And if it's good for if it reduces the use of, or if it reduces harmful behavior, smoking, then are we going to tax TV time because sedentary
you-
behavior?
it-
Are we
yeah.
going to tax sugary things, candy bars, Mountain Dew, on and on?
Elisa just.
I don't eat candy bars or drink Mountain Dew. I swear I don't. But I really like homemade pie and ice cream
Yeah.
and cinnamon rolls and
Okay.
brownies.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay. There you go.
But
Same book, different chapter there.
well, yeah, same.
I'm trying to make this right. It's not. It never
So, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you've heard my wife talk about cooking with almond flour instead of regular flour. So, could you see a day where, if you buy the almond flour, you pay X price, and if
Yeah.
you buy the regular flour, you pay X
Right.
price plus a surcharge?
Right. Oh,
I don't
well,
know.
Boy, the capitalists will love that.
Yeah.
Let's jump right on that wagon.
Okay, well, I don't know. It's just food for thought. No pun
But
intended.
Here's, for instance, in Lebanon, I was looking at this. There's a smoking ban that they've just put out in Lebanon,
Uh-huh.
and it's for all public spaces, including coffee
Mm-hmm.
shops, restaurants, bars, and all that stuff. They're forced not to be
Mm-hmm.
able to smoke there. And then you look at what they're going to do. They're going to have hefty fines, like $90. They're going to say, okay, I'll charge you $90 if you get caught smoking in a bar. Well, the bartender owner is going to also face the same thing, only for a lot more money. And then you look at the statistics in Lebanon. I couldn't believe this. This must be the number one most smokingest nation in the world, because in Lebanon, 46% of all men smoke and 36% of all women smoke in that country. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
and
and they do
so-
that in Europe too, and so forth. But people, it keeps down on the Medicare expenses.
I don't know, but I
for
don't-
older people.
I don't think
'Cause
that's-
you don't get a lot of older people. keeps
They never make it
keeps
that
down the
far.
Social Security costs.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think that'll work, because if you have that high a percentage of people smoking, it's going to take more than a
Yeah.
law that says you have to
Right.
go to your basement to smoke.
Yeah.
They'll go to the basement
Yeah,
and
that's
smoke.
right. And there's a difference between a law that says you can't do something than a tax if you do something. I mean, those are different things. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought, but I know that someone in the studio here has an experience of having been in Europe and spend some time there.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to know her a little bit after the break. And we'll
Okay.
welcome her now. How you doing, Rhonda Miller?
I'm doing great, Dr. Tobler.
That's good. And you talk about the drill sergeant. She is the drill sergeant of the clinic. No, I'm kidding you. She's a very, very special lady with a special mission and a passion for making your clinic run efficiently and smoothly and making sure that you have great access to it as well. Okay? So when we come back, we'll talk with Rhonda. And I know, Rhonda, you want to really connect with folks, and we invite them to call in case they have any questions or comments.
Absolutely. The number is 1-800-748-7875 and 660-465-7225. And we're talking about Scotland County Hospitals, Memphis Medical Services, Lancaster Medical Services, and Wycombe Medical Services.
Let the music's fine like sparkling wine. Go and have your fun. Laugh and sing, but while we're apart, don't give your heart to anyone. And don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. So don't forget who's taking you home, or in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Oh, baby, won't you
Can I tell you something weird?
I'm listening.
So I was about to scratch a Missouri lottery ticket, and I started fantasizing about the win. I'm speedboating through a lake made of chocolate when I look next to me, and it's my fourth grade teacher, Ms. Hedstrom, thanking me.
Didn't you put a frog on her desk?
Several times. So why would she ever thank me?
Well, part of every lottery ticket goes back to education in Missouri. So pursuing your fantasy helps out schools, students, and teachers. That's why she's thanking you, man.
So it's not because I bought her that fancy gift for Teacher Appreciation Day?
No.
Maybe I should apologize for the frogs.
Just make it up to her one ticket at a time.
The Missouri Lottery and players like you have helped raise more than $4 billion for the students and schools of our great state. Every ticket makes Missouri brighter. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. For more information, visit molottery.com.
Welcome to the Iowa Soybean Report with Kirk Leeds, CEO of the Iowa Soybean Association.
Researchers at the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company recently announced a partnership with the Soybean Checkoff to research the use of soybean oil in the production of tires. Initial work has shown a potential increase in the tread life of tires by 10%. If successful, this new use for soybeans will reduce Goodyear's use of petroleum-based oil by up to 7 million gallons each year. Additionally, Goodyear reports that rubber compounds made with the soybean oil blend more easily with the silica used in making tires, resulting in improved efficiency and reduced energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. The overall result of this new use for soybeans is a win for consumers, Goodyear, and Iowa soybean farmers.
This soybean report has been brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, expanding opportunities, delivering results, paid for by the Soybean Checkoff.
America's Best Country. It's John Denver.
country roads take me home to the place I belong.
America's Best Country is Pam Tillis. America's Best Country is the Statler Brothers.
Counting flowers on the wall, that don't bother me at all. Playing solitaire till dawn with the deck of 51.
America's Best Country is Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your...
America's Best Country, 100.5 KMEM.
I feel a shiver run up my spine. I feel the warmth of her hand in mine. Ooh, I hear laughter in the rain, walking hand in hand with the one.
25 after the hour on Healthy You, KMEM 100.5. Real country and real health care.
Yeah, no
That's what we're
deductible, no
about.
copay every
That's right.
Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock with Dr. T.
Joining us, Rhonda Miller, RN, MMS, clinic supervisor, Memphis Medical Services clinic supervisor, and a local celebrity, star, trained here locally, regionally, right, at Indian Hills, right, Rhonda?
Yes, that's correct.
10 years ago, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I wish.
And you've been a nurse in practice as long as I've been a doctor.
Is
almost
that right?
identical.
Wow.
Yeah, 15 years. And just kidding.
Except you're a little older.
A few more years. Oh, and I got a little less hair. I know. We wanted to have a discussion because out of an annual clinic meeting, which we have at all of the Scotland County Hospital clinics, Memphis, Lancaster, Wauconda, there is an annual, it is the Lollapalooza of clinic meetings. Mm-hmm. Everyone's there. The docs, the nurses, the nurse practitioners, everyone's there. And healthcare folks, the administration. And of course, this is Rhonda's big baby every year. She has to put together a lot of stats. How are we serving our people? How are we providing what the community needs and deserves? Mm-hmm. And we have a community advocate who is there, a community representative, and that's Doris White. She was there and had a lot of interesting input. She's been that person for quite a while, right?
From my understanding, yes.
And was hoping to join us today, but was unable to do that.
Correct. Yeah, she had quite a cough, she said, so she was afraid she was going to cough a lot on the air.
Right. But we really appreciate her input, as we appreciate your input. If you ever have a problem and you want to bring it to our attention, we'd love to hear about it because sometimes you don't know if you got spinach in your teeth. And boy, your good friend will tell you that. And
Absolutely.
We'd like you to be our good friend.
Yes.
And we also like to get a pat on the back if we do something nice, too.
But
that's all good.
It's going to make it better for everyone if we know what we need.
But the number one thing is to make sure that everyone, understands some of the best ways to access the doctor, the nurse, whoever it is in the clinic, and for that matter, indirectly the hospital. Mm-hmm. But the clinic is probably the single biggest funnel into the Scotland County Hospital system, right? That's where most of the patients are seen, and through which then they get dispersed out into lab, into radiology, sometimes into the hospital directly. And we just wanted to go through that and talk a little bit about that. We had a not so funny episode last year when we were changing phone systems, and we thought we were going to increase access, and the phone system didn't work as planned, and whatever, it didn't work out, and so we realized that was a problem, and we tried to fix it, and I think we're doing better in that regard.
What you get now a lot of times on these phone systems are just they're unbelievable. In a lot of places when you call them, they'll tell you your call is very important to them, and then when they put you on hold, you get to listen to a flute solo for 40 minutes, and that's probably not what you had in mind.
Okay, good. Who's this? Doris. Oh, Doris is on the phone. Excellent.
Before I started coughing.
Hey, Doris, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Fine. I had a few things I wanted to say. I wanted to commend you, Dr. Tobler. The people in the community think you do a great job going into the patients' rooms and asking them if everything's okay, if they need anything.
Well, we try to do that, and I know our friend here, Elisa, does that more often than I do, and trying to make sure everyone is satisfied and with their care. And for the most part, I hear good things. Once in a while, there's a little hump we need to get over, and we bring that and we try to fix it. And so I'm glad that's a service that is appreciated.
That's really stars. Now, Rhonda Miller, as you said, does a wonderful job keeping the clinic going smoothly. Rhonda Roberts says there's been lots of report on her in the community that she does such a wonderful job, and she goes way, way beyond her duties, that she's very good.
That's great. Well, that's great to hear. And boy, it's really great to have you there to get feedback. I remember a year ago you brought us some feedback on things, and we tried to adjust. And I think the feedback today or at the meeting recently was, for the most part, that's working out pretty good. Yeah. But then you bring concerns, things that we don't hear. And it's interesting. I mean, let's just be perfectly transparent about this. Sometimes, if a doctor is treating a patient, if a nurse is just about ready to give you an injection, or you're depending to call in this prescription, sometimes people are a little reticent to say to your face, hey, I don't like the way you talk to me, or I don't like the way. And you are our little double agent in the community, and we really appreciate that.
That's fine, but I'll let Rhonda go ahead and tell what she's going to talk about, and thank you very much.
Hey, thanks a lot, Doris, and you get better, okay?
Okay, we'll do.
All right,
Thanks.
take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, and it's not always milk and honey, right? And so there are
That's
some
right.
glitches. What are some of the biggest problems that people are likely to encounter that you hear?
Probably the biggest things that I hear is sometimes patients say they can't get into the clinic to see a certain physician.
Yeah.
You know, so we do hear that sometimes frequently. The only thing that I can say to the public or to the patients is it is sometimes you may not always be able to get in with that same that physician, your primary care physician, maybe that day. But we do try to let you know that we do have other providers there that you may have to see. Another physician, but also it's important to follow up with your primary care, and it may take maybe a week to see him or her.
Happened to me the other day. We were meeting some long lost friends from medical school and residency, really good friends. Hadn't seen them in over a decade, and they were up visiting in St. Louis. We met them for dinner. Our first choice, our like numero uno place, couldn't get us in, and we said, well, you know what? Let's give numero two choice a chance today. Because, we've heard good things about them, and they're they're sort of in the same neighborhood, and usually if they're in the same neighborhood, they're competing, and so if they're still there, they're probably pretty good. Guess what? Numero two is now numero one. No, I mean, what I'm getting at here is that, the people that practice in this clinic, while you may not have that same intimate relationship with them, they don't know your children's name, you don't go to church with, whatever.
That's right.
We have a lot of good people practicing medicine, and the people are well trained to walk in the middle of a problem or in the middle of an ongoing problem and to sort of pinch hit. The Cardinals don't have, and the Royals don't have people sitting on the bench that can't swing the bat and hit the ball out of the park once in a while, right?
Yep.
And so my feeling is, if you get that message from the receptionist, I'm sorry, my gosh, he's double booked for the next week. There is no more capacity. Could you see Dr. A, or could you see nurse practitioner B? Or, let's give him a chance. And you know what? What you guys need to know is that behind the scenes, if I see you and I'm not your usual doctor, and I think that this sort of makes sense with what I've assessed and what I would recommend, very often there's little curbsides that go on. You catch the doctor who's too busy to even eat lunch or, do anything, and you say, hey, I saw Sally, and here's what's going on. And, oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
And here's what I think we should do. Does that sound okay? Yeah. A lot of that goes on. And so know that you're not seeing, passing ships in the night, and, there's no really extraordinary interest in that particular thing. There really is. And there's a lot of extraordinary, especially when you're seeing someone for the first time and you don't know them. Sometimes a different perspective is helpful.
Right.
I've had Dr. Hoyle, Dr. Davis, Dr. Miller-Parrish see a patient of mine that I'd seen, and did you think about this? Oh, well, I thought about it, but it wasn't high on my list. Well, we ought to look at that a little bit more. So there's really, I guess what we're saying is we would encourage you, we would give you permission to give it a try. Try out Restaurant B if Restaurant A can't get you in for your favorite reservation. And you may find that the food there's pretty good.
And I think, too, Dr. Tobler, there's a misconception that sometimes patients don't think the physician knows their history. But what patients need to realize that we do have electronic medical records, although it's an on as-needed basis. So if a patient was seeing Dr. Tobler for the first time, you can actually review the patient's chart to see what medications they're currently taking and to see what their prior problem was before being seen by you.
Yeah.
So that's always important for the patient to know that they do have access to your record if it's applicable for that.
And conversely, if you see a doc who isn't your usual doc, there's a complete note in that chart. I saw Sally. She's normally Dr. Davis's patient, and he can't see her today, or she couldn't get whatever. And here's her history because I've reviewed Dr. Davis's last 10 notes. And here's what's going on today, and here's what I did. Next time you see Dr. Davis next week, he's going to go, oh, yeah, I see what happened. Good. Looks good. Let's go on forward. And so there is a continuity. There is a shared chart, but it's only shared when you see that doctor.
That's correct.
If you're going to get an allergy injection from some other doctor's nurse, because that's the person doing the allergy injections that day, that person has access to that chart for the purpose of giving you your allergy injection. And you know what I mean? So things are done for the continuity of care.
That's correct.
And I know there's always concern that, there may be that going on. I can tell you with the electronic medical record, we have the ability and we have followed through on people that have, whenever we see that, We keep track of that. And so authorized access to the chart is held as strictly as a good Catholic holds the rosary to their chest. I'm telling you that. I kid you not. We take that very, very seriously. So when people call in and they say, my child has a fever and I need to get in to see Jessica Whitman and I need to see, and this is going on. They might talk to the receptionist. And sometimes then where does that call get routed? If there's not an appointment, things are pretty tight. Maybe and it happens where people are on vacation and it's tight all around. What happens from our perspective so people know?
Well, if a child is not well and has a fever, and the receptionists try to do their best to get that child in, because we do not like to turn children away.
Right.
Sometimes they're not sure where to put that child at, so they will triage that call to either myself or to our triage nurse that we have. We will actually find a good place to put that child, because we want to know how long that child has been sick, because maybe we need to get him in right away versus waiting until the afternoon.
Right.
So sometimes by talking to the parent, we can kind of assess a little bit further what the need of that child is.
Right. And so when you call a receptionist who is not a trained medical professional, we have worked with them. We have given them some guidelines, and through experience, they learn this is something that probably needs more urgent attention than we can get them in to see anyone. So it goes to you. And then you'll talk to the doctor or his or her nurse.
That's
right.
That's right. And sometimes
then,
I'll just go ahead and put them on the schedule myself, because I know it's a needed thing.
Right. And often we'll try to, sometimes if it's not like a really acute thing, but it needs to be seen that day, if you get put off until after lunch, that may be because before lunch, doctors, nurses know their patients, and often there's really a sweet spot there. There's an opportunity, and it's at 12:30. And if we ask you to come in at 12:30 or 1:30, whatever, there's a reason for that, because we know who's before and who's after. We want to give you enough time.
Right.
And we want to give the doctor enough time, rather than putting you in with 3 gargantuan problems, that happen to happen at 10 or 11 in the morning. Okay. So
it's like an air controlman.
Absolutely.
Who's stacked up planes on top of each other for landing in a...
Air traffic control. That's exactly it. And so between reception, Sonia C., Rhonda Miller, and then working with the staff, we try to... Tim Grant made an interesting statement this morning, because we were working through a couple of issues that we wanted to even tweak things better. And he says, we all forget, even as patients and as providers, that medicine is not first come, first serve. It's first need, first served.
That's right.
And we do our best. Trust me, I watch it every day. We do our best to try to make sure that the most urgent, priority, pressing problem is dealt with. And I hope no one's ever left out in the rain. And if you are, please know that it is not in any way, shape, or form by design, because in fact, we're trying to design whatever we can to avoid that from ever happening.
Yeah.
That's right.
What happens now as far as phones? When are they on? When are they off?
We start answering the phones in the clinic at 8:30, and the lobby opens at 8:30 in the morning. So actually, patients I know will call sooner than that, but there's an answer machine that will pick up those calls if they call before that time or even the night before. So the receptionist will listen to those. That's the first thing when they get there in the morning. Okay. They'll listen to the messages and write all those out before the answering the phones at 8:30. So that way they can call patients back to set them up for appointments.
Okay, and we want to, after the break, we're going to step aside here for a little bit and play some fun music and listen to some great commercials. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the voicemail system, because that really is a helpful thing. And we're going to talk about how it works and what the expectations are within the clinic of the staff when you leave a voicemail, and so that we can, navigate through that.
Yeah.
Okay. A reminder, please pay attention to the sponsors of these radio programs, because without them, we're not here.
Absolutely.
Then it's not free radio. There might be a sin tax.
Oh, no.
If you listen, you got to pay a tax. Okay, we'll be back in just a minute.
Imagine having an emergency without a home phone. Your car won't start and you're late for work. How do you call your job to let them know where you are? Or call school to let them know you won't be there to pick up your child? AT&T knows many Americans face life without the comfort and security of a home phone every day. And that's why AT&T offers Lifeline, which provides reduced monthly home phone rates and optional toll blocking at no extra charge to families who qualify. Get the peace of mind that comes with a reliable and affordable home phone line. Lifeline from AT&T. To find out more about Lifeline and other AT&T products and services, call AT&T at 1-800-288-2020 or visit att.com/lifeline if you have access to the Internet. Lifeline is a government benefit program, and willfully making false statements to obtain this benefit is punishable by fine or imprisonment and could result in termination of Lifeline service. Lifeline enrollment requires certain eligibility documentation and is non-transferable. Limited to 1 discount per household. AT&T service is not available in all areas. Other restrictions apply.
It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. You or someone you know is really scared they might be pregnant, and there's so many questions. What choices are there? How will this affect my future? Who will help me? You need information and answers to questions. We at Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center care about you, and we are here to listen, to provide information, and to remind you there is hope for your future. Contact Memphis Area Pregnancy Care Center at 660-465-7179 for an appointment. All of our services are free and confidential.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got your fingers ready to do some bidding on your computers or on your iPads or iPhones or smartphones in general, because BigIron.com has two huge auctions coming up September 12th. First will be a traditional BigIron.com equipment auction at 10 a.m. Central Time. Bids will start closing out on about 350 items, like a 2005 John Deere 8220 mechanical front tractor with only 3,500 hours. There's also a really nice 2003 John Deere 9650 STS combine. There's ATVs, semis, forklifts, and everything you can imagine on that sale that closes out at 10 a.m. on September 12th. Then, later that day at 6 p.m., the Fechner Motors Retirement Sale up in Wagner, South Dakota begins, closing out over 1,400 items. Everything from parts to specialty tools, hoists, shop equipment. There's even a tractor on this sale. That'll close out then at 6 p.m. So 2 big sales, 1 big day, September 12th. Experience the power of BigIron.com.
Memphis Area Chamber of Commerce businesses, a great place to spend your Memphis bucks. Casey's General Store, Complete Tree and Landscaping, Cook's Men's Store, Gas and More, Hair Company, Keith's Cafe, Country Connections, and Mayberry Farms.
A foggy day in London town.
Normally, I listen to a lot of that bumper music because it gets me pumped up. But we have important things to talk about,
Yes,
more
we do.
important than me getting pumped up. So Rhonda Miller joins us, clinic supervisor at Memphis Medical Services, to help sort out some of the difficulties and some of the problems, frankly, that arise, but hoping that there can be a meeting of all of our minds so that everyone, we want nothing more than to deliver Mayo, Barnes, name your Johns Hopkins. That's the kind of care we aim to deliver. And if we fall short, well, by golly, we're going to try to fix it.
Yeah.
But there's things you can do to help us,
Yeah,
and that helps you.
And
that's what we're talking about.
I was had an appointment at a large facility recently, and I must admit, when I got there, it was my first appointment, my first time I'd ever been there, but I was not prepared. I knew what my medications were,
Yeah.
but I wasn't 100% sure exactly what the dosage was on them. Well, so I had my little billfold list.
Aha.
Well, guess what? There were 2 medications on that list that, since I had made that list, that the dosage had actually changed
Right.
in. And so I felt, when I came out of there, okay, I number one, I didn't have the questions I needed to ask with me, which I'm getting old enough now. I need to write it down.
You're too tough on yourself, bud.
And the other one was the medication thing.
Yeah. So we would, Rhonda, I would almost go so far as to say we would give you a big hug if you came in and had an up-to-date medication list. Because think about it. People are seeing specialists in Des Moines and Columbia and St. Louis, Kansas City, who knows where else.
Right.
Maybe they're coming from an outlying clinic, Dr. Minter's clinic, Dr. Crenshaw's clinic, Dr. Beckert's clinic. I mean, and we don't know. Dr. down in Kirksville, some of this Dr. Sparks, I can't even list all the names, right?
So the best
and
of
so
all,
it's great to try to keep an up-to-date list, because that really helps make our job
And the best
easier.
of all worlds, what the nurses love to see is when I'd come in the door with my baggie.
Oh, yes.
And it's full of I brought them with me. I got them all right there. And, so there it is on the front label. I mean, there's not a chance that the list might be correct or it might be incorrect one way or another, because there they are right in front of me.
And that's really what we prefer. When the receptionists call the patients to remind them of their appointments, we try to remind the patients to bring in their medications. And like Bud just said, sometimes the lists are not updated by the patient. So it's really important just to throw all your medicine in a bag, even the over-counter stuff that you're taking.
Right.
It's important to know those over-the-counter medications because there can be counterindications.
So whether you have a list or whether you have a bag full of bottles, that's fine. Either one works, and we can work through that.
That's right.
And keep our records up to date, so it's more efficient and more precise, and therefore safer for you. When someone calls and receptionists are busy, all three of them, 3 receptionists, and they're all busy, what happens then? They get a voicemail?
At first it'll say that the line is busy,
Okay.
so they'll be on hold for just briefly. But if it's very, very length of time, it'll go to voicemail.
Okay,
So
and they're called back promptly.
They are called back promptly.
How does the voicemail at the nurse of the doctor level come in? I mean, how do you get to the nurse if you need to leave a message
Well,
for
what
nurse?
the receptionists do, the receptionists will actually get the first call,
Mhm.
and they'll say, I need to talk to Dr. Davis's nurse.
Mhm.
So they will actually let the patient know that they may not be able to talk to the nurse right off the bat, so they would have to probably leave a message first.
Okay.
So
it'll ring back. The
it'll
receptionist will
back.
ring back, and if the nurse is putting in, the previous patient or the next
Right,
patient,
she may not be able to get to that phone call at that time.
and remember that sometimes you're the patient that's being put in, and someone else's call isn't being answered, so they're leaving a voicemail.
And it's important that when the patient does call and leave on the voicemail that they leave their name, date of birth, and then a brief message.
Especially for things like prescription refills.
That's correct.
So that we can, because sometimes we got patients with duplicate names, and you don't want anything going on
And it's
there.
important, too, to let us know the pharmacy that you're utilizing, because we do have some patients that use
Right.
different pharmacies.
Right. And remember, too, that if you call for a refill of especially a chronic medicine, something that you need every day, if you call on Friday at 4:30, it's a lot tougher to guarantee that's going to be done than if, and you're going to run out on Saturday.
That's correct.
It's better if you can try, if the pill is, you jiggle it and you're hearing that little rattle of the last couple pills, last 5-6 pills, give us a call. Give us a little opportunity for some leeway there.
Right. It's important not to wait till you have one pill left or even out of medication.
What is the estimate, and when you audit, as far as the number of calls for refills alone per day?
If I'm triaging calls or Sonia C is triaging calls, just for us to get medication refills, we could be just ourselves getting 40 to 50 a day.
Mhm.
Besides what the other physicians
and then the
are
other
getting,
nurses are doing things that you don't even hear about.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. One of the other problems that we sometimes hear about is the delay in the clinic. Okay. One of the delays is being addressed by bringing your bags of medicines and bringing your list, because boy, to sit there and for the nurse to go through that list and everything when she's you're trying to recall it, it's a lot easier to have that list there. And frankly, sometimes we do it after the fact. We'll clip the list on the clipboard and the doctor can see it.
But it's also
we can
gonna
do some of that.
Yeah, it's going to be faster for you as a patient.
Other reasons for delays: we have 3 doctors that are doing OB. Me, Dr. Davis, Dr. Hoyle, and we have surgeons who get called out for appendectomies, and I do the sections mostly, but other doctors, Thome and Miller Parrish do sections as well. So if there's an emergency C-section, that's going to happen. We ask for some understanding, right? Sometimes a patient is having a problem on the floor, and one of the docs needs to go in and attend to the patient. We will always try to communicate with you, and if we don't, please let us know. If you've waited, for longer than an ordinary, please just more than 15 minutes. Is that what you recommend?
Yeah, that's what I would say. If you're waiting more than 15 minutes, go up to the reception desk and find out what's going on.
Yeah, because no one wants to leave you sitting. We've all been patients. I've been a patient. I've sat for an hour and waited. What the going on here?
Absolutely.
And so it's nice. Most people, if you just, hey, boy, he had to go do a delivery. Would you like to reschedule? Would you want to wait? We try to accommodate. Again, it's a first need, not first come, first served basis. Now, we are going to have some exciting things coming up. We already over at Lancaster have basically call in and get an appointment with Jessica Whitman hours, and we hope to depending on how all that works out, maybe roll at least an option for that in our clinic here too. So that if, we'll have someone eventually we'd like to where, a person that's basically got an open schedule. And again, this is a coming thing in medicine. We want to make sure that when and if we introduce it here, it's done properly. But remember that we're always trying to prioritize in what is safest and what is necessary. Can we talk a little bit about payment? Because that ouch in your wallet when you walk up there and they say, "Oh man, I got to ask you for some bucks here." Can you address that a little bit?
Sure. With the receptionist job, it's, not only are they, welcome you to the clinic, but part of their job is to, make copies of your insurance card and verify insurances. But they also are responsible for collecting money. Yeah. And I do know there's co-pays that are due at the time of the visit, and some patients have insurance where they maybe have a $25 office visit that they pay. So that has to be collected at the beginning of before they actually go back to see the physician.
And the natural question is, well, what's so important about that? I mean, why can't you just, what's the deal with that? I mean, it's a legal obligation.
Yeah,
if we do not, there are government policies and laws. We are scrutinized by many government agencies. If we do not collect the $2 or $3 copay for state insurance or the 25 or 30 or whatever it is for your private insurance, that is called FRAUD, fraud.
Yeah. That's correct. That's correct.
And so it's not that we're trying to be the evil empire. No one likes to ask people for money. That's not fun. But that's the law.
It is the law.
But let's also talk about some good things that are good from the side of the patient or the customer.
There's a way to what should we say, mitigate the pain. We want to ease the pain because we feel your pain.
There's candy.
And when we come back, we'll talk about that, because while we may ask for some money, where else can you get up to a 40% discount? Right? And we're going to talk about sliding scales and discounts that are available if you don't have our insurance or if you're paying cash that day. So there's ways to make this affordable.
Yes, there is.
Boy, trying to find a best fit with so many plans, so many different situations, it's tough. But we'll get back in the race right after this.
Yeah.
Many times I thought of cutting out, but my heart won't buy it. But if there's nothing shaking come this here July, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll myself.
Our freedom to move, something we can easily take for granted until it's gone. If left untreated, rheumatoid arthritis can be debilitating, stealing that very freedom. Early diagnosis and treatment are key. If you suffer from joint pain, stiffness, even fatigue or low-grade fever, visit your family doctor. Don't wait. Protect your freedom to move. Contact your local regional arthritis center. Learn more at moarthritis.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Arthritis Program.
I'm Dan. I'm Clay. For Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance. And when you call them, you'll talk to a real person, a local person. I hate talking to computers. They never laugh at my jokes. Nobody laughs at your jokes, Clay. But the people answering the phone at Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance, they might give it a try. Yeah? Knock, knock. On second thought, let me call. Call who? I am not playing this game.
You don't have to be a farmer to save money with Farm Bureau Insurance.
Well, I've played in them, and having a chance to call a World Series, John, well, there's nothing like it.
Well, Mike, last year was very special. I get the feeling this one could be as well.
If I've learned anything about this beautiful game, and last year's a great example, it's to expect the unexpected.
Oh, yeah, David Freese has just sent us in the game number 7. As the Cardinals go for 12-12, we have all the action on
KMEM Radio, your sports leader in the Tri-States, 100.5 Memphis, Missouri.
Listen all summer long.
Community Bank of Memphis can help put the vehicle of your dreams in your driveway. Get that car, truck, van, or SUV you've always wanted with an auto loan from your hometown bank. We offer competitive rates and fast, friendly hometown service. Before you go shopping for your next new or used vehicle, give us a call at 465-8501. Hometown banking with your neighbors and friends at Community Bank of Memphis. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
All right, we're back here on Healthy You, talking with Rhonda Miller, clinic supervisor at Memphis Medical Services, and we're going to continue our discussion here about getting you guys really, tuned up and help us help you. And that's what it is, by understanding some of the ways that, the clinic flows, and understanding, I guess, from the other side of the stethoscope, how things work.
Yes,
and boy, I can tell you right now, there will be human error, there will be mistakes, there will be things, but please know that we are always constantly trying to improve our processes. And the one thing you can do is let us know if something wasn't really working well. By the same token, if something maybe previously hadn't worked as well, but seems to not be a problem, and we've done a good job, let us know that, because that's the one we're gonna write as a policy and etch it in granite. And Moses with the tablets will come into the next meeting and say, "This is the law." That's what we'll do. So please just keep us informed, because again, if we don't know what's going on and what we're not doing, we can't fix it. And we do appreciate your input. Let's talk about folks that. Boy, these days, people out of work don't have insurance. Insurance is too expensive. Employer doesn't provide it. What options do we have to help make care affordable here?
We have what we call a sliding scale fee. What that is, depending on your income, you could actually get up to a 40% discount, on the charges at the clinic. But the process is filling out an application, which the receptionist would give that to the patient, and they would have to bring a copy of their last year's tax return, so that we can see what their income was. And then by that, we can see what they would have to pay, what their payment would be.
Okay, so it's very generous, I have to say. Compared with anything I've ever seen anywhere.
And if patients pay that day at the clinic, and they actually, we call it prompt pay, they would actually get a 25% discount that day.
Wow.
So we do try. Good. And then if patients are struggling, we do have payment plans that are available too, that we refer them to somebody in the billing department.
Yeah, and those have to be adjudicated, obviously.
Right.
What happens if someone calls up and they have a problem that maybe they're concerned? We live in a small community. A receptionist answers the phone and someone's got a problem with something very intimate, very personal, psychological, those kind of things that you just don't, you just don't really want to share it with anyone but your doctor or his nurse. What's the story?
Well, what I have always told the receptionist, and I've also talked to patients, saying that if you have something personal where you do not want to disclose why you're coming in the clinic, you have every right to do so, because it's not everybody's business to know what's going on in your life. But the receptionists have the duty of making sure that you're scheduled for the appropriate time to see that physician. So basically, if somebody calls and says it's personal, I don't want to talk to you about it, that's fine. More than likely, we're going to put you down at least for a 30-minute appointment, versus a quick fix, like as a sinus infection, would be more like a 15-minute
Let me play
a
little bit of a but a very practical devil's advocate. It's a real sort of semi-acute problem. Maybe it's a psychiatric emergency, a meltdown. Maybe it's a sexually transmitted disease problem. Right. Okay, let's just cut to the chase.
Right.
So it needs to be seen, but how do I let the receptionist know without telling them the urgency that it's urgent?
I would have that receptionist transfer that call to that nurse.
Bingo. So look, if you just feel as though you'd like to keep it, real close to the doctor and the doctor's nurse, because, look, let's be honest, we all need to be cared for no matter what's going on. Someone needs to know it, and that's the doctor, the nurse. Asked to be transferred to the nurse. Okay.
That's right.
And the nurses are very good about checking their voicemails. If you don't get the nurse directly, make sure that you make it clear to the nurse what's going on and the urgency of the problem, and then they will try to deal with that.
If you don't want to leave too much on an answering machine, all you need to do is just say, "Please call me at home.
It's urgent.
It's urgent.
Yeah.
I don't want to, just
right.
for the privacy of that."
And I wanna again harp on the HIPAA thing.
Yes.
I have to tell you, we have and we will prosecute in whatever way we can administratively anyone who leaks any of your information in this community. Okay? Conversely, HIPAA is so tough, there's people that are in and out that are my best friends I go to church with, and I don't know they've been in the hospital. So understand that. If you're at church with someone and they work in the hospital and it's like, well, you didn't send me flowers. Well, I'm sorry, I don't go look at the charts every day. We can't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Please understand, we're trying to make a best balance between a lot of competing masters, but you are the master of all. Please let us know how we can better serve you. Call Rhonda at the clinic, 465-2828. Call Elisa at the hospital, 465-8511. And let us know how we can best serve you. Thanks for being here. Rhonda, thank you very, very much for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll follow up in another, few months, see how things are going. Okay? Bud, Elisa, you guys have a great week. All you out there, be well, share it with someone you love. We'll see you next time.
You're listening to the best in area news, weather, and sports on America's Best Country, 100.5 KMEM Memphis, Missouri.